Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Prince William got into the holiday spirit during a festive lunch with soldiers and their families from the 1st Battalion Mercian Regiment at Bulford Camp in Wiltshire, but it was a 10-year-old's doodle that stole the show and William's sense of humour. When young Carson Highway handed the prince a post-it drawing of him, William joked, "Is that me? Looks like I have 5 nostrils." Despite the self-deprecating comment, he carefully folded the drawing and tucked it into his pocket, proving he's a good sport about his artistic likeness. The prince also had a laugh at the regiment's mascot, an 18-month-old ram named Private Derby, who is set to spend Christmas among ewes. So he has quite a fun Christmas. Oh, good luck to him. While mingling, the prince confessed he's not ready for Christmas, though he's looking forward to family walks in Norfolk and a chaotic gathering with 45 relatives. He also offered sage Mario Kart advice to 5-year-old Alexander Fitzgerald, saying, "You're supposed to let your dad win sometimes." The royal festivities included Christmas jumpers, gifts for William's children, and plenty of banter. But William himself declined to don festive attire, blaming his new equerry with a grin. "See that guy in the jacket? It's his fault. I'll be having a word." Harry joined a virtual Christmas party hosted by Scotty's Little Soldiers, a charity supporting bereaved military families. The event brought together 280 children and young people from around the globe, including participants from Germany, Thailand, and Australia. Harry told the group, "It's okay to feel however you feel at Christmas. Some people will be celebrating and happy, other people feel reflective, and some people will be sad. And maybe you'll experience every single one of these emotions, and that's absolutely fine." He encouraged the children to lean on their support networks. "Remember, you've got each other, you've got Scotty's, and you've got the people that love you." Harry serves as global ambassador for Scotty's Little Soldiers. The party, run by expert entertainers Sharky and George, included interactive games like building cushion towers and crafting snowmen out of toilet paper. Could Ellen be the one that gets Meghan to return to the UK? A source tells In Touch, Harry has already been giving them all sorts of advice on the Cotswolds. The vibe there is very similar to Montecito, just with a whole lot more rain, and Harry knows it quite well. Ellen and Portia have been absolute rocks for Meghan and Harry from the moment they moved to California. They helped them get settled in Montecito and introduced them to so many great people. They're such a huge part of Meghan and Harry's circle. Despite their disappointment, Meghan and Harry understand the decision. They totally understand why they're leaving. They've toyed with the idea themselves since the election, the source explained. According to the source, the change could persuade Meghan to revisit her stance on returning to the UK. Knowing that she'd have Ellen and Portia's support over there would be a real help and might be enough to get her to change her mind about never setting foot there again. Polo showrunner Milos Balac told Variety, "Harry was involved, I'd say in a pretty incredible way, in that he, from the start, definitely had a vision. This is a world that he knows well that I knew nothing of. And I think that was a good collaboration in terms of someone who really knows every tiny, minute detail versus someone who's coming as, like, the blind audience and finding a way to meet in the middle where it's going to cater to the world of Polo that already knows it and then bring in a slew of new fans, which is obviously our main goal. So he was very involved from the start in terms of suggesting where we might want to look for storylines. And then in the edit, he was incredibly helpful. I really never actually worked with an executive producer in that sense, where he had such an expertise for the sport that he could really offer excellent notes about how we were editing the gameplay and how to portray certain moments. And even while we were in production, he was giving so many ideas of like, hey, you know what I love so much about Polo is that feeling that you're on the horse and you just feel the speed and you feel the excitement and you feel the roar. So he kept all of that in mind in terms of trying to think of how can we then capture that and communicate that appropriately. And I hope we were able to do that a bit in this series. He was asked about some of the father-son conflict storylines and how that might relate to Harry and Charles. What I will say about the EPs, from Prince Harry and from the Duchess, from Meghan, the point was always that Polo feels like one big family in so many ways. And it's true. I mean, when you're there, everyone knows each other around the field, and many are actual relatives. And then others are just by virtue of being in the same community. I would hope most people have some parental relationship that they can find a way to relate to this, whether it's like, oh, that's just like my dad, or like, oh my God, that's nothing like my dad. But you have a reaction to it. That was hope. Is Harry a prisoner of his own life? Radar Online quoted some Montecito locals. One said, it's almost as if they are a family and living like Rapunzel in her tower. He feels like he's been missold a life, plus he and Meghan are also heading pretty much separate lives. It's like they are an estranged couple living under the same roof. Meghan sold the move to America as a way for their family to be happy, free, and relatively normal. The biggest shock for Harry is that he thought raising his kids away from the royal family would give them more freedom. In California, though, the opposite has happened. In fact, Archie and Lilibet's world seems even more cosseted than his own upbringing as an heir to the British crown. Palace Intrigue, we'll be right back. Is Charles struggling, or did Donald Trump just play a game of telephone? Trump told reporters about his meeting with William, saying, "I asked him about his wife, and he said she's doing well. And I asked him about his father, and his father is fighting very hard. And he loves his father, and he loves his wife, so it was sad." Royal biographer Sally Bedell Smith told People, although the king is carrying out his duties with typical determination, he has had to accept limitations during his cancer treatment. As a result, William has been taking on more responsibilities, and he and Kate have been preparing for their future roles sooner than they would have expected. An insider suggests that this all may be weighing on Kate as a sense of calm before the storm. They are next in line for the biggest jobs of their lives. And of course, Kate's health has taken priority, but it's also allowed everyone to take a step back and figure out what's important right now. We learned David Beckham has a photo of Queen Elizabeth. Beckham was on Instagram and told his followers, "I know it's early morning. I've literally just walked into the office. Normally, my office is actually quite tidy, and something has gone on during the night." He then panned past a frame image of Queen Elizabeth on the wall. We also saw his television stand, which had several elf-on-the-shelf figures. If you've ever dreamed of lounging like royalty, you might get your chance, but it won't be on a golden throne. Instead, try propping your feet on a stool made from repurposed Buckingham Palace curtains. Yes, royal drapery, once gracing the grand halls of Windsor Castle and Buckingham Palace, has been transformed into footstools, and they're up for grabs in an online charity auction supporting the King's Foundation. The fabric, described as Delft blue floral, vintage rose and teal, and rich damask burnt orange, hails from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, covering designs popular from the 1950s to the 90s. The stools, crafted from woods by artisans of the Snowdon School of Furniture on the Highgrove Estate, have their coverings sewn by Dumfries House Sewing Bee in Scotland. It's recycling, but make it royal. And if footstools don't quite do it for you, you know this isn't the first time royal textiles have been given a second act. Last year, the King's creative streak led to turning old palace curtains into kimonos, which also found new owners at auction. And it wouldn't be a royal event without a touch of whimsy. Battersea Dogs and Cats Home joined the effort. A photo shoot featuring adorable, adoptable pups alongside these plush stools might just tug at your heartstrings and your wallet. Some of the auction proceeds will also go towards helping these furry friends find homes. The King's Foundation, benefiting from the auction, supports traditional craft training, blending sustainability with skills preservation. Last year, it raised over £32,000 by auctioning off coronation chairs, this time with footstools boasting eco-friendly royal flair. Your living room might just outdo the crown in authenticity. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice, and write us a review or drop 5 stars if you're enjoying the show. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.